Thanks for joining us today on Straight from the Source. We have a special guest today, Heather Hadwick, our Assemblymember for District 1. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
District 1 is huge. It's rural Northern California, but at the same time, isn't it maybe the largest district in the state, I think?
It is the largest geographic. So
yeah.
I have 11 counties. I go from the Oregon border. I live in Modoc County, so I live near the Oregon border.
Right.
And it goes all the way down south of Sacramento to Ione and Amador County and Alpine County.
We were just talking about this. You spend a lot of time in the car, yes. I'm sure, right?
Yes, lots of windshield time. So lots of books on tape. And I put 53,000 miles on my car last year.
Oh my gosh,
yes.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
But so you split your time, right? You're based in Modoc County, but at the same time, you're at the Capitol all the time.
Yes, if we're in session, we're required to be there Monday through Thursday.
And you just came up from Sacramento, right?
Yes, I just came up.
What were you working on today?
So I had a couple meetings, a press conference for a safe roads package that we're working on.
Okay.
I was just supporting some of my colleagues, so it's to increase punishment and penalty for DUI drivers, repeated DUI drivers.
Okay.
So we were there with parents that had lost their kids, their family members, and my colleagues, and then just advocates doing a press conference. And we took off, came here, did a speech this afternoon, and then now I'm here visiting with
day.
you. Yeah.
DUI is
it's always busy.
Such a tough thing. I think about that all the time, how like so many of us law-abiding citizens, you know, we see we get press releases all the time about all these bad guys on the street. Drinking and driving, that's something where it's just like the typical person, they make a bad decision and suddenly you could be going to jail for murder, essentially.
Yeah, and they have 40% of our fatalities in California highways are DUIs or related to impaired driving, and so it's something we haven't focused on enough, I think, as a legislature. So they're trying to this year, which is good.
Yeah,
it takes away. It's a needless death. And it's a choice, you know. So they don't consider it a violent crime, but they're making a choice to get in the car, and that car is then a weapon, per se. You know, Trinity County just had an awful wreck and lost a bunch of teenagers. That is heartbreaking, and it happens. It's too frequent.
Yeah. Definitely.
So hopefully my their Democrats are kind of leading that charge, and so there's a few of my Republican colleagues that are on there too. So hopefully we can make it happen.
What has your experience been with that in terms of, working together with people who don't always see eye to eye, and they're representing constituents who don't always see eye to eye, even though it seems like we all want the same thing, right?
I think we do. I think in the end most of us are there for the right reasons, right? We want our kids, we want to be able to own a home, go to work, have our kids have good schools, feel safe in our communities, not pay $8 for gas, afford to live where we're living, I think our paths to getting there are different and our focuses are a little different.
Right.
But there's a lot, we're so broken, there's a lot we can agree on. So I try to stick to those things that we can agree on.
Right.
And I work across the aisle as much as I can because I have to.
Yeah.
There's 20 Republicans and 60 Democrats.
Yeah.
So I need 41 to get anything through. So I need 21 other people to vote with me.
Right.
And it's through committee, through on the floor, all of it. I need that majority to jump on.
Yeah.
And besides just the political parties, like that's always going to be there. But for me, the biggest challenge is that urban versus rural, because we live differently in the North State. And I had no idea just how differently until I got this position.
What are some things about, say, rural Northern California, that people who are maybe from the Bay Area, or like even my family's from Los Angeles, that's where I grew up, right? And so I'm kind of starting to see the differences now. What are certain things about our needs that city people might not really understand?
I think I always say they don't know what they don't know. Yeah. So it's not a part of their life, like driving. A lot of people don't drive in the urban areas. You know, some don't even own cars, and so like the proposed study on the mileage tax, that probably won't hurt them as much. That will kill my rural communities. So like making the stories impactful enough so that people will listen and they'll care, because they don't have to care, right? But I think we have to come to a place where we need them as much as they need us. Like,
Yeah.
we need those city centers, so we have the specialists and Costco and all those things, right? They need us so we can grow their food and, make sure the land's taken care of and their watersheds are safe and that kind of thing. I think there is more willingness and like curiosity of how we live.
Yeah.
So we take people to the district all the time. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Okay.
And it's fun to see a city person come up and see where you live, and
Like, you mean other assembly members?
yes,
So you
other
just
members.
invite them.
Yeah.
Like, hey, come on up and check out like Modoc County.
Yeah, come see my pumpkin patch.
Yeah,
Or we do forestry tours every year. So we take like 10 to 12 legislators up there. We did Siskiyou County last year. We're doing Plumas County this year.
Okay.
And we take them to a mill. We take them to a logging site.
Yeah.
We land, we fly up, and we land at the base of Mount Shasta. Like, some of them have never seen a mountain. So none of them last year had been north of Sacramento.
Yeah.
They had never seen a natural river.
Ah.
Because they have canals in LA.
Right, right.
That's not their normal.
Yeah.
And they'd never seen a bald eagle, a deer, so just things we see every day that we, I don't think we all take them for granted all the time, but
Right,
we forget how special it is, you know?
Yes.
So that part, it's fun to, it's pretty magical to see your district through other people's eyes.
Yeah.
And I mean, how lucky are we that we get to live here, right?
I know.
We're so blessed.
It's really incredible.
It really
here.
is.
Yeah.
And I think I have the most beautiful district. I mean, we have Mount Shasta, Tahoe.
Yeah.
Sierra County looks like a postcard. Amador, the wineries.
Right.
Lassen National Park. I mean, we have some beautiful, beautiful places.
Yeah.
And we don't have traffic, which is also great.
It's so funny. I always tell people about that because I have a lot of friends who I'm from Los Angeles County, more like the Santa Monica Mountain Range.
Okay.
So I did see coyote and deer and everything growing up. But I'm from the city people, and I always tell people when I'm trying to convince them to move up here, I say, listen, we have all the same stuff, but it's more beautiful and there's no traffic.
Yes,
It's
less people.
Yes.
That's why I have 11 counties. So we all
Right.
we all represent about 500,000 people.
Okay.
And in the North State, it takes me 11 counties to get there.
Yes.
There's like 40 members from LA.
Right.
So of the 80, and for one county.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's definitely different, and I try to talk about it, and I try to take them there. We also bring a little bit of the district to the capital too. Like, we have Highland cows, and we raise the fuzzy Scottish cows that everybody loves.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So we bring,
When you say we, you mean your family?
my family, yeah. So my kids and my husband, and so we bring them down.
The actual cows.
Yeah, on Ag Day, and we set them up in a pen, and everybody gets to hug them and take their pictures.
Yeah.
But then they remember, and it connects it. And
Right.
last year was like kind of the real kickoff of our wolf crisis, and that's one of the biggest issues we have. So
yep.
that's how I connected it with them.
Right.
Was, hey, I hope she has this baby here,
Right.
because we have wolves in my district. Have you
Right.
heard about our wolf crisis? And they hadn't. They didn't even know we had wolves. So
This
it's
is
not
happening
normal.
so fast, though.
Oh,
How fast? Because
so
I remember
fast.
when I came to the station, I think maybe about 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
This March, I think, will be my 10 years here. And I remember we were first reporting on some OR whatever, a wolf out of
7.
Oregon.
Yeah, OR
yeah,
7,
yeah,
yeah.
And it was just kind of crazy. There's this wolf in California.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, did you see, was it just last week or earlier this week, they tracked one that was was it Los Angeles County?
Yeah, Los Angeles County.
Yeah.
And Truckee,
And
they're moving.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is going
Yeah.
to be something that every single Californian who has pets or small children, no matter where you stand on it, it's something that everyone's going to have to deal with.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a different worry.
Yeah.
It's scary. They're very large. We haven't had a human death or attack
Right.
For wolves, but they have in other countries.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a fear, I think. And no matter what, their fear's real.
Yeah.
We have moms call the office all the time. My grandparents, they can't walk down the street like this. There's a senior lady that lives in Lassen County. She's walked down the same road for the last 45 years, and she doesn't feel like she's
won't do it.
safe to walk down the road, which
Yeah.
that's not fair. That's also not the quality of life we want. That's not why
Right.
we live here. We're working on it. We have a couple bills coming that hopefully will bring some transparency between the agencies and the ranchers and
Right.
give them the information they need to protect their property. And then we've been working with everybody. It's it's definitely our biggest issue right now.
So the tough thing though is right now is that they're federally protected, right?
Yes.
They're considered to
And
be
the state.
federally
Yeah.
endangered.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
But even if the state were to change its policies,
It wouldn't matter.
nothing would matter in terms of them being on the Endangered Species
Yeah.
Act, like considered to be protected. Is that something though? Do you have the opportunity to work with members of Congress about that sort of thing? Like, and maybe we could find some sort of compromise or.
So they, Congressman LaMalfa put through a bill. It passed the Senate or the House, and it's waiting in the Senate to delist the gray wolf. They're trying to get the votes in the Senate to continue that, and I'm sure Assemblymember Gallagher, my colleague, is running for his position now, and it's one of his biggest worries, and one of the things he wants to be able to finish the work that Congressman LaMalfa started. So hopefully we can get that through. It is like a first step, but it's not the answer,
Right.
Because then they're still protected in California. So, and I know it's very hard to get a species delisted in California.
And so just to clarify, and you haven't explained exactly where you stand. I haven't asked you that yet. I'll ask you that too. But, I think some people think it's just so black and white, like full on eradication or Endangered Species Act. But I mean, there's a way to protect the interests of the wolves and let them have a chance at life, but also the cattle ranchers and the people, right? Yeah,
I think it's a different complexity right now than when they were here originally, right?
Yeah.
We had enough for them to eat. Our deer population, our antelope, our elk, they have all plummeted because it's not just wolves that we have mountain lions and bears too. So our bear population has tripled in the last 15, 20 years. They say we have 65,000 bears, and half of those are in my district. Tahoe has the highest density of black bears in the world.
Yeah.
The mountain lions, the numbers, the report's not out yet, but I think they were redoing it for the more accurate numbers, but they have just boomed. I mean, it feels like every other day we find a mountain lion in town or something, you know.
It's interesting you're saying that, because I heard something just this morning in my newsroom. There was talk about getting mountain lions on the Endangered Species Act.
Yes, down south. They are trying to, South Coast or something. I think that is actually, it was last night. I think they had a meeting for Fish and Game Commission trying to list them, which we have plenty. We do not need them listed. And El Dorado County, it's right outside of Sacramento, and they have the highest density of mountain lions in the nation. Yeah. And they had the death of the teenage boy, an attack on his brother. Yeah. We tried to run a bill last year. I wasn't the author. We were supporting to use dogs for hazing, just to keep them away from people, because that seems to be more of the problem. Is the bears and the lions and the wolves? They're not afraid of people now, and so they're coming down to communities, because there isn't food, and so they're looking for food. Yeah. And and how do we have that healthy fear of humans again? Yeah. And in that time, have them not eating cattle. It used to be they ate like 20% cattle. Now the last test was like 92% of their diet was cattle, and that we can't sustain that. Our ranchers can't sustain that. They've been hit with inflation and regulations and the stress. Nobody is talking about the stress that is on these ranchers and the mental health impacts of this, because that fear, I mean, I have ranchers, I wake up every day to pictures that are gruesome, just about every day, not quite every day, but they're riding around all night. They're riding horses, they're in their trucks, they are just exhausted. And how do we support them in that? And have that balance. We know, we live here and we know there's predators, right? We know this is part of rural living, but we have to be able to protect our property as well. And so I think the population boomed faster than CDFW was ready for. And so we're trying to have those conversations right now, and we're having the conversations with the environmental groups and the animal advocate groups, trying to figure out like where is the compromise in this, because it's not safe for either side at this point. It's not safe for the cattle ranchers, but it's also not good for the wolves. They're not supposed to be in town, So, and
because they're not hunting wild prey, they're hunting sitting ducks. Or sitting cows.
A cow having a baby. You know, when it's it can't get away.
So in terms of like your official stance on this, you're still in the, hey, let's find a compromise sort of phase, but what exactly would you like to see happen if you had it your way?
Oh, well, I think we're a long ways from it, but I think we have to have information. That's what we're working on. I think that's like the first phase is we have to have information. The ranchers cannot protect their property if they don't know where the wolves are and have that direct path of information and the trust in the agency.
Yeah.
So I'm trying hard to kind of handhold that and get that back. But I'm a cattle rancher. My bachelor's degree is in ag. Like I'm an ag girl, so I'm on the side of ag on this one. And I think we have to we know, even as cattle ranchers, they know they need to have some coexistence, but we can't have coexistence at the cost of their livelihood.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Okay. We'll see what comes next there.
Yeah. So we're working on it. We have all kinds of meetings with, I feel like, everybody at this point. Trying to get everybody to the same, come to the table, like, what can we do? What's realistic in California? You know, we live in a very democratic state, and we have to find a way to make it everyone whole.
Yeah.
And I think if the state's property is going to destroy ranchers' property, they need to pay for it. Mm-hmm. So I was able to get $2 million in the last budget for wolf depredation and loss.
Okay.
Or reambrsment of that
So
loss.
that would be just like if a calf gets eaten, a rancher could file a claim for it.
Yeah. So if they have a kill that is confirmed, so there's an investigation. Mm-hmm.
I bet it's not easy to get through that process.
It's not, and they're all waiting. So they haven't even been paid for like the kills from this last summer.
Yeah.
And it's too long. So we're also working on that. Like, what does CDFW need from the legislature to make sure that they can put those payments out faster, that they can have more people to investigate? You know, everybody's trying. I think everybody was going in different directions, so we're trying to bring everybody together to just have a more sense of urgency.
Okay.
That's what everybody wants.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Another public safety issue. Well, I mean, there are so many different things we could talk about.
We have so many issues right now.
I'm always curious about, Prop 36 for one thing, right? Mm-hmm. Because it passed, it took effect, but then I've been hearing that there's not the money in the budget to like make it work. What can you tell me about that? Where do things stand with enforcing Prop 36?
The money wasn't put in the budget to make it work. The money is there. California has higher revenue than we've ever had before.
Okay.
We have a spending problem. So, and we're, in my opinion, not spending on the things that we should be prioritizing. Prop 36 being one that was overwhelmingly voted on.
Right.
And I think my comrades on the other side of the aisle, they hear about it a lot, that it wasn't funded. I think it was $120 million that was funded, but
for 1 year.
For a year, which is not nearly enough.
Okay.
None of that went to like the jails. We wanted addiction, mental health, all those supports.
Right.
To work on a recidivism.
Because basically, if you put someone in jail and they're just sitting there and watch TV and they eat food, and then 2 years later they're out, they haven't been rehabilitated.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, like investing in those programs, I'm working with Shasta County right now. They want to get an alternative custody campus built.
Yeah, I've been hearing about this. It could be a really cool thing.
Amazing, right? So we're doing a budget request and working with my colleagues trying to teach them what it is, because it's very out of the box.
Okay.
But if when they're in jail and in custody, they're clean, so their minds are ready. They want to do something. They're bored.
Right.
Gives them that opportunity. So why not utilize that time to make them better citizens? You know, and
learn a trade or learn a skill set.
And
enrich their lives.
Help them get a job. Help them build a resume. That kind of thing.
I feel like this is just my philosophy on life, but I don't feel like anyone chooses to live a life where they end up in prison. I think that tough times and they don't get opportunities, and so. It's like if they're going to be there and taxpayers are going to be paying for them to stay in a jail or, for an extended period of time, why not give them the opportunity to have a life when they get out?
And not everybody's going to take that opportunity.
Sure.
Some of those people, it's just a cycle, and it's, unfortunate. Some of them do better when they're in the system. Like they need that stability in those lines, hard lines that tell them when to do things, where to do it. But there are so many of them that want it. They want that opportunity. They just haven't had anybody helping them.
Right.
So many people don't have the supports, and just haven't had that hand holding. And it's simple stuff like how to get a driver's license, how to fill out a job application, those basic life skills that when you're addicted or having mental health issues, you can't do.
Okay.
So why not, try to put our funds there, keep them, it's also cheaper than putting them in the jail, so it would save on costs there too.
So, and I might have interrupted you or got a little lost because you had mentioned $120 million for a year, right, to be spent on these programs.
The entire state.
But did the money not come through, or?
So that's all that was given,
Oh,
and that
okay.
is not nearly enough.
Okay.
So it
Yeah.
was kind of a slap on the wrist, like,
Yeah.
we're not doing this. This isn't our focus. So, and you can't have both. You can't decide that crime is not illegal and not have those programs to help people get better and do better and make better choices.
So what can be done?
I think just continuing to talk about it and having the public writing letters, making sure their voices are heard. That really does make a difference. When you see these bills come through, support it or oppose it, or you can put in comments on the legislative info page, and I read them all. I don't know if every elected does, but their staff does if they're not. So those really do matter. That's the only thing I've seen that really changes a person's vote or changes their heart is like peer public pressure. And then the stories, like impactful stories from constituents that this is how this is going to hurt my district, or this is how this is hurting this family, or this is how this would help that family, that kind of thing.
Have you been in the flip side? Like you said, you've brought people on kind of like field trips to our area and, sharing these impactful stories to help Democrats across the aisle kind of see where we're coming from, or I say we, but I mean you and your constituents. Have you been in the other shoes where you've heard those stories and kind of realized, okay, now I see where they're coming from and why this cause matters, even though I didn't think it did?
Yes. Yeah. There's been some housing bills that no county in my district even would qualify for. But, my colleagues from San Francisco are like, we need this. Like, we have to build more by transportation sites or it's some red tape a lot of them are very specific too. They'll be specific to an area. And so I try to, as much as I possibly can, depending on the language, if it's a very local bill, like district bill, and I know that legislator is a good human that's really, representing their district, I try to stick with them and vote with them, because I hope that when I bring my problems that are very District 1 specific, that they're going to give me that same courtesy. And knowing that I know my district, I have to go home to everyone every weekend and see them at the grocery store and, kind of face whatever vote I had.
Right.
And they're going to do the same. So, but it's hard because I don't know, San Francisco politics or, but I do the city tours too, because I wasn't at first, because I have 11 counties. So getting anywhere is hard or getting out of the district is hard. And I was turning them down, but now I went to New York over our recess to a Retailers Association conference and got to tour like Macy's and the Gap and learn about like retail theft and all these things. And most of the companies, I'm like, I have one store in my district in all 11 counties, but it matters to that one store in my district. And the votes I'm voting on are statewide. So so I'm trying to be open-minded and learn all of the city things too.
Yes, definitely. You said something, it was interesting, like if I look at that lawmaker and they seem like they're a genuine person, a good person with good intentions, politicians get such a bad rap, right?
They really do.
And it's interesting because I talk about this all the time with my team here, like how we have to be like ethical and how silly little things like, say you were to come in today for this podcast interview and you brought us some donuts. Theoretically, I should probably say, we can't accept these, right?
Yeah.
That sounds so ridiculous because it's such a small thing, but it's like, well, Heather gave donuts and then, we're going to use the best parts of the, so, and I think that that's probably how, like for so many politicians, like I I would say that probably most people who sign up to be in government like have great intentions.
Great, 95%.
And then
of
it's like
them.
insidious because you're in a position of power and trades and deals and like, well, if you do this for me, I'll do this for you.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's been what, just a little bit over a year now,
over a year, yeah.
Have you been in scenarios where you've had to kind of like check your moral compass and that sort of thing?
Never, but
No?
I'm so honed into my
Okay.
moral compass
Yeah,
that
no
I
one- no one's
won't
trying to
even
get you to do
stray.
anything.
No,
Yeah.
and I actually I thought that maybe going in,
Yeah.
because you get contributions. That's part of it.
Right.
There are a lot of laws for that, and every gift I get, if somebody brings me a chocolate,
Yeah.
I write it down and it's on a FPPC form, and it's a huge deal.
That's a good idea. If somebody
Yeah,
brings
so-
us donuts, I should just document and log
Yeah,
them so at least it's transparent.
Yeah, so we document it and it has who it was from, what it was, and the price.
Yeah.
And we have to turn it into the state, and it's a huge deal.
Right.
And you get fined if they're wrong, and even the receptions we go to. So because there's a group for everything, and
Yeah.
they want you to come and meet their members and that kind of thing. And it's from rural counties to CSAC was last night. Any group, everybody has one.
Yeah.
And so then they'll come to SAC and do their lobby days and come meet with you, and then they want you to go to their reception. And if you eat or drink there, you're supposed to register it. So
Right.
I skip all that by not eating and drinking, and it's just a little cleaner. Sometimes we do,
Just
depending
bring a
on where it's
lunchbox
at.
and then you don't have to do paperwork.
Yes. But it's also like where you build the relationships, and
Yeah.
it's all relationships.
Yeah.
But I have never been in a position where anyone has asked me to vote a certain way. They come in and give you facts, and they're like, hey, we are opposing this bill. Sometimes they might ask you where you're at. A lot of times they ask you where you're at. I'm very upfront about it, and I'm like, hey, my district would never support this, and
Yeah.
I vote my district every time.
Right.
And that's why I'm here. I wish everybody did that. It doesn't always happen. But I also ask local people about bills all the time. I think I drive my staff a little crazy with that one, because I want to know, like, the person doing the job every day, how is this going to hurt you or help you? Is
Yeah.
this bad? Like, can I get your feedback on it? And I do that with almost every bill.
Yeah.
Because that's who it's going to affect.
Right. That's why you're doing this.
Yeah.
For the
and-
people.
Yeah. So I haven't been put in that. I think there's many politicians that have been put in that position. But luckily I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't experienced
Okay.
that, and I
Yeah.
hope I never do. I think
Yeah.
people know I'm pretty direct, so I think they know I'd shoot them down really fast.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. When you first arrived here, we were talking a little bit about the CCW legislation. That was one of the first things that you got across the finish line, right?
Yeah,
Tell me about that.
So that was my first bill. Was actually the first pro Second Amendment bill that was passed in California legislature in over 20 years. And it was a FFL, the firearms dealers, just dealing with secured facilities and some contradiction of language between state and federal. And then those laws were all made in the 80s. So we have a lot of technology and just better security options now. So it was cleaning all of that up. But it was, the governor actually was the first bill he signed last year, which is a statement thing too.
Yeah.
So it was we were very, very proud of that.
Yeah.
The California Rifle Pistol Association gave me Legislator of the Year for that, which is very cool.
Yeah.
And quite an honor. But they're always there's always going to be the advocates that are out there for guns. It's
Right.
just part of it. I have a really unique lens on that, I think, because I didn't grow up with guns.
Okay.
I married into a hunting outdoor family. And
We're
the
laughing.
bug.
There's it's like a mosquito here, and it was like tied to a piece of fluff.
But I like married into it and learned about it, and
Okay.
I was very fearful at first,
Yeah.
because I didn't know it.
Right.
And so that's also one of my goals, is to get people exposed to it. I'm on the Outdoor Sporting Caucus. The chair is a Democrat. She had went duck hunting, and she fell in love with it. She had never shot a gun before. I coach shooting sports because my son is a competitive shooter. He's on a scholarship in Nebraska for it right now, and he's done it since he was 9. So it's just been a big part of our life.
Yeah.
But I am absolutely focused on the safety part of it.
Right.
And I think if you don't learn those things, you fear it. And so I think the more people we can educate about it, and just expose them to those things, because it's not an every family thing, But I am a firm believer in the Second Amendment. So
it's funny, you hear so many different, because people have very conflicting views on gun rights and gun safety. And I have tons of friends who are, who are hunters, who are Second Amendment proponents, to the max. And a lot of them really feel like gun violence would be lower if more people who weren't criminals had guns. But then, of course, I have tons of friends and family members who feel the opposite and would love more gun control. And they say, oh, well, look at places like Canada. Now, we did just have a mass shooting in Canada.
Yeah.
But when I'm sure you're presented with data all the time.
All the time, yeah.
What do you see? Like, having more people who are potentially armed, who are law-abiding citizens, do we see more or less gun violence?
I think the people that they make gun laws for are law-abiding citizens. Criminals don't go by; they don't follow the laws. So you're making laws for the people that aren't the ones breaking the laws, and so that's my problem with it. And besides it being a constitutional right, but those people are not getting them the proper channels. They're getting them in other ways. So they're never going to follow the laws. So you're just making it harder for law-abiding citizens to do things properly.
Yeah.
And then we make good citizens into criminals, and we don't want to do that.
Right.
So I don't think anybody wants people with mental health issues to have guns. It's a very hard thing and very subjective, right, to decide who has those issues.
I was going to say, aren't we all crazy?
Yeah, I think we're all okay with having, a little bit of a waiting period. We're okay with that.
Yeah.
But we should still always have that freedom to protect ourselves. And that, I think, should be a private thing, because I don't want any victim that has a CCW, that is feared for her life, the person she's afraid of should not get to know if she has a CCW. Yeah. That's not fair. Those kind of things. So it's a very complex issue, and I think the more we can educate people, the better. And then just they need to learn. They need the safety part. We do in our country have more active attacker situations with firearms. In other countries that don't, they have bombs, they have knives that kill more people. So it's that bad people are going to find ways to do bad things.
I think something I've been concerned about is just like ghost guns, right?
Yes.
And seeing like how do you 3D print something like this?
It's crazy. And that's where those people that don't want to follow the laws are always going to find a way. So, and now with technology and AI and all the things at their fingertips, that's scarier than ever.
Yeah. Okay. So totally different topic now. Okay. I do have a complaint about living in Northern California. Okay. This is the one thing, well, aside from Chico not having an airport, but aside from not having commercial airlines, is healthcare, right? Yes. So it's so hard. It took me 6 months to find a cardiologist when I was having a little arrhythmia issue. And it's Chico's a big city for Northern California. So in your district, Redding would be the big city. Yeah. And as we know that Redding is having a kind of healthcare provider crisis, I always, when I go to the doctor, I interview my doctors and I ask them, why do you think that, there are not many doctors that want to live in our area? And I've had a couple tell me, well, a lot of times people who go to medical school and they kind of want a more upscale kind of life, and their goal is to get somewhere like LA or San Francisco, and they don't really want to live in the rural areas. So how do we sell the doctors on coming up our way? Yeah.
I think, so we have a group that's working on trying to get a medical school in Redding. I'm helping support them in whatever aspect I can. I think that's an important part. Most people that have a residency program, they stay where they were in residency. I think it's 80%.
Got to fall in love with the place.
Yes, and we think if we can get them there, they'll fall in love with it.
I didn't plan to stay here. Did you know that for more than 2 years? I came here, it was just a pit stop. I was going to go down to LA. I met my husband. I fell in love with this area, and now it's home forever.
Yeah. And I think we have that. We have all the things that they want to offer, especially if they love the outdoors.
Yeah.
But I think rural healthcare it's a huge crisis for us. The career pathways at every level, not just doctors, our CNAs, nurses, any kind of specialist, and any licensed person in any sector at this point is hard and for rural.
Yeah.
We go to Reading for our specialists. I'm 3 hours from there.
Okay.
My husband had cancer when he was 30, and we had to basically move to Reading during the week for his treatments.
Right.
That's I always say that the doctor bills are not the thing; it's the travel.
Yeah.
And having to take a whole day off work for a checkup, and people don't think about that when they're from an urban area. But
how's he doing now?
Oh, he's good. He's been in remissions for 17 years. So.
And I'm actually surprised to hear that Reading, because a lot of times people here have to go to San Francisco or Sacramento if they're lucky.
Yeah, and we do a lot of out of state too. So I'm closer to Oregon. My doctor's in Oregon.
Okay.
We get flown out to Reno, Klamath Falls, or Bend a lot. So, and we don't play well with others in other states as California or insurances.
Insurance.
So, but it is a big deal. I'm actually trying to get on the health committee right now because rural health care is kind of under fire right now. And there's some bills that have been proposed or talked about that could really cripple rural health care. And we got one of them stopped for now, but we're really afraid it's going to keep going.
So I was going to ask you, what can the state do to make it better? I didn't know that the state could potentially do things to make it worse.
So I think it's where we have those blanket mandates, right? That we have these things that work in San Francisco, work in LA. They will not work for us.
Okay.
And that seems to be the problem. And we have higher Medi-Cal participants in a lot of my counties have some of the highest. And so our reimbursement rates haven't been, I think it's been like over 20 years since they've been increased. So doctors are taking hits for that and less doctors are taking those, insurances, and everything's harder. I mean, the malpractice insurance, just regular liability insurance, when we have these inflations, that ripple effect affects everything, and healthcare is really right now struggling.
Right.
But then I have other hospitals that are growing because they're managing everything really well, and some of them just were innovative in how they are paying for it.
Okay.
A lot of them have adopted like the senior living facilities because that's like you can expect a certain revenue from them with having those beds, and we have a huge shortage of that in our district, so the more we could get, the better. But they're having to be innovative, and they're having to think outside the box, and not the ideal world that we want to live in, but I have a lot of counties that you can't have a baby in. I went 2 hours to have mine. You can't have a baby in Modoc County.
Wow.
Yeah, and
not
it's
even
pretty
are there
normal.
midwives even
No,
if you
the
were
hospital doesn't deliver
Nothing.
them because they don't have an anesthesiologist on staff 24/7. Wow. So the maternity wards are closing, and that's not just in my district. That's everywhere. So
what do people there do? I mean, do you just schedule a C-section essentially?
They induced me a week early, but they just watch you a little closer towards the end. But I have a very good friend that delivered her grandbaby along the road on the way to Reading.
Oh my gosh.
It happens.
Yeah.
So
wow.
Yeah, it's and we know that living there, like we know, we're taking those risks and have that extra annoyance, to go to a specialist but I drove my kids 100 miles to go to the orthodontist.
Yeah.
Like that's not a normal person,
right?
Chore or errand.
Like, is there a quick fix? What's the fix? How do we make it better?
I think we're in this like grow your own mentality in rural. So we're trying to find those career pathways and programs to get our kids to, go out in the world for a little bit, get trained, use everything we have in CTE programs in our community colleges. I have the most community colleges of any district. I also have the most college deserts of counties that don't have a community college.
Okay.
So we're really tapping into those programs, having them tap into the high schoolers and kind of showing them these opportunities earlier, and then grow your own. So they'll come back because most of the kids, high schoolers never want to stay. They want to get far away and hate wherever they live for the most part. But then they realize, like, maybe I do want to come home and raise my family here.
Yeah.
And so we want them to, like, go out in the world for a little bit, but then come back and give back to your community that raised you.
Yeah. You have kids, right?
I do, yes.
What age are they at now?
So my youngest is a senior.
Okay.
So he's like currently college hopping. I think he's going to end up going somewhere in Sacramento.
Okay.
But my oldest is almost 21. He's a junior in college in Nebraska on a shooting sports scholarship. And then I have a bonus daughter, Shayla, that came to live with us her junior year of high school. And she is in nursing school and just had a baby.
Oh,
so,
wow.
yeah,
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you think they'll all end up back home in our area?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about my oldest because Nebraska has everything he wants and it's way cheaper to live there. It's hard.
Yeah,
it's hard to compete with.
it
Like
is.
he's paying $2 gas and he can buy a home for $80,000 and they have hunting and fishing galore and
Yeah.
it's like $50 to register his car. Like really the only thing here is us. But I'm still hopeful. I hope he meets a girl that really wants to live in California.
We have such great weather, though.
Yes.
And the taxes that we pay, they make things nicer, right? I mean,
Yes,
theoretically, like, because I lived in West Virginia for a little while, and yeah, it was nice not having that income tax on my paycheck. But I did notice that just things weren't, the amenities and
Wasn't
the
the same,
infrastructure
yeah.
wasn't there. Like, roads
Yeah.
would just stop in the middle, like, they just stopped making the road.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know we're paying our tax dollars, and you're putting them to use for something good, hopefully.
Yeah, trying.
Yeah, and trying to keep that accountability for us.
Yes, for sure.
Well, before we wrap up, tell me right now, what are you most excited about? What are you putting your energy on?
I think just really teaching my colleagues why rural is different and why their decisions there affect us harder and faster and making them, like when they're questioning a bill about something that might hit rural different, I want them to be able to come to me. Okay. So like building those relationships, and then we're just trying to stop a lot of things.
Yeah.
I feel like that I spend a lot of effort stopping things that will really hurt us.
Okay.
We didn't track that well last year, and this year we're going to. So last year we had 6 of our 7 bills signed by the governor, which was huge for a freshman, and we brought $1.5 billion back to the district.
Wow. When you say we, you mean you and your team?
Yeah, my team.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Which was huge.
Yeah.
Our biggest win was the fire victims tax exemption.
Yeah.
For all fires from 21 to 24, which was the governor has to individually exempt a fire, and the Dixie fire was one of the fires he did not exempt. So, but the LA fires changed that conversation. So that's something we went to bat for, and we talked about equity and why is this unfair. I'm really excited to take my colleagues up to Northern California and see recovery in rural communities, and we're planning that right now. So, and then I'm excited to make sure that our ranchers are protected from wolves and just give everybody some relief on that end. And with that fire recovery, insurance is always wrapped up in there too, because that's our other top issue is insurance rates. So, so we're working hard. I feel like I never stop working now, but I love it still. So it doesn't feel like work.
Right.
But it's an honor to represent the North State, and I grew up here. I love it. I want my kids to come back here, and so I'm working hard to make everybody's life a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening today. I decided to offer this podcast after enough of you let me know that you wanted a deeper dive into certain stories than you get on our TV broadcasts. We elect certain people to represent our voice, but who are they really? My hope is that this podcast answers that question. I love your feedback, and I want to know who you'd like to hear from next. Just fill out that comment section and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or Spotify.